I would like to apologize for not having uploaded a YouTube video in the past, it's been 8 days. It's been a really bad time. I'm burning out. I've burnt out really, really, really hard from the daily grind. And it's just not sustainable for me to spend 30 hours of my week thinking, talking, and cutting video about politics, especially given how depressing some of these issues can be. So videos are going to be weekly. I might upload more than one video a week. I will definitely upload one video a week. But that's going to be the schedule going forward, and that's just to make sure that it's sustainable for me, and also so that I can continue to look for things like gainful employment. I have to text students. I have to start teaching again, and there's just too much going on, emotionally as well as just physically and materially, that I have to pay attention to. Burnout's a hell of a thing. I requested, I DM'd Devin Nash to make a video about burnout. If you're someone who struggles with self-actualization or, work ethic, discipline, that kind of stuff, I cannot recommend Devin Nash's channel more highly. I actually once asked him to make a video about burnout. It was like over a year ago. And he was like, that's actually a really cool topic. Remind me to do that. And I never followed up with him. Yeah, burnout's a hell of a thing. And it doesn't just come from the labor that you perform. It doesn't just come from the physical toll of the labor you perform, which, spending 30 hours a week unpaid on anything requires some level of fortitude, right? But it's also the content of what you do, right? That I'm spending time in a time where I'm not supporting myself and I'm in a holding pattern in my financial situation. I'm spending full-time energy on something that I'm probably never going to get paid doing. So that enhances the amount of energy that it takes to sustain it, because there's an entire aspect of my life, my, say, financial self-sufficiency, and the ability to move on with my life and reassert my autonomy. Those are things that are in a holding pattern, and instead of spending energy on those are continuing to take their toll whilst I spend my energy on something else, which I do consider to be valuable, but not necessarily sustainable as a result, right? Which is something you have to keep in mind, right? You can be pursuing something that you care about and that you think is valuable and that brings you fulfillment, but if you're neglecting important needs of your own in order to do it, it's going to lead to you burning out, because neglecting your core needs is going to take a long-term emotional toll on you. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the past 2 months. And so when I downgraded my stream schedule to 3 streams a week, I thought that I was finally organizing for my own health and for my own well-being, but it turns out the YouTube grind was the far more taxing pursuit. So we're gonna do 3 streams a week and 1 video a week. I might do 2 videos a week if I have time, or if there's if there's a topic that is really time sensitive. So if there's not breaking news, but if there's fresh news that I want to react to, give a take on, I might upload that video as an extra video. But otherwise, it's gonna be a very, very, very easy paced schedule. So what I'll probably do is I'll cut Twitch highlights of streams on the same week, and then that way I have an archive that I can hop into for my weekly video, and I can just pick whatever video I feel like uploading that week. And considering how extremely unlikely I am to get sustainable income out of content creation, at least in the short to medium term future, I think that's just, it's a no-brainer, decision wise. One thing that's helping me nowadays is, one of the things that I had when I moved in with my relatives funnily enough, was not the ability to stream. But one thing that I had was basically every night or most nights, at the end of the evening, we would sit down and we would watch a TV show. We would watch a sitcom. Watching something that's like completely unstressful, just having like a decompressing escape, like not even not a distraction, right? Something that's engaging. I'm not talking like playing ARAM or surfing like I'm doing now or Hearthstone. I'm not talking a video game. I'm talking about something fictional that immerses you and is non-stressful. Like, you can say maybe like a good single-player video game, but a good single-player video game will typically be somewhat stressful. There will be some kind of plot. There will be some kind of themes to it. The nice thing about a sitcom is that like it immerses you in something, in a reality outside of your own, that is designed to be relaxing and designed to be pleasant and wholesome. So having that as an escape is really important. And over the course of time, I stopped watching the show, and I couldn't watch because I wasn't caught up. And I recently started watching it again, just to catch up. And I've noticed that like I feel a lot better when I have some kind of escape during the day, right? So if you're ever feeling overstressed, burnt out, that's something to consider, right? The different coping mechanisms that you have for stress. There are different ways that you can deal with stress, right? If the stress has to do with unfinished work, you can always just complete the work. That's the best way to solve stress over unfinished business. It's also the most difficult, much easier said than done. But let's say the stress is like, my stress is not over unfinished business, right? My stress is over a self-imposed schedule that is just too taxing. At that point, I can't really diffuse stress by completing work, because the existence of that work and the self-imposition of that work is what is causing me trouble to begin with. So the main coping mechanisms you have are surface level distraction, which is simply to engage in something that makes you temporarily forget about your stress. Actually, they're all distractions, right? You can engage in multiple kinds of distractions. One is surface level, where it's just, I'm going to bring my immediate attention to something, and I'm just going to forget that my stress exists. And that can be helpful, kind of the way that a power nap can be helpful, in that it doesn't make you groggy, and it leaves you capable of going back to whatever the task is, right? Another kind of distraction you can have is a total escape, right? And a total escape I would liken to, say, REM sleep. A total escape would be the equivalent of, say, the sitcom I was watching, right? The sitcom that I was watching is not designed to just distract me from stress. It's designed to take it out of my, out of my day, effectively, for me to deal with that another time. So watching a sitcom, I get involved and engaged with characters that aren't myself, that are designed not to have stresses of their own. And so there's a lifting of myself out of the situation that I am in. By me, I'm referring to any individual, right? Lifting of the self out of the situation you're in and transplanting it into basically a fictional scenario in which you are able to engage the parts of your mind that need a reality to exist in, but create that reality inherently stress-free. And that helps you to completely get away from whatever situation you're going through. So that, I would say, that's the difference between kind of playing a mindless video game. The difference between, say, Candy Crush and The Office, right? Or Parks and Rec. I don't know what your stress-free, go-to stress-free TV show would be. So I think that's really valuable, right? Ironically, one thing that's been helping me over the past couple weeks is I decided to start playing ranked League of Legends again, which probably the dumbest thing that you can do if you're dealing with distress in your life. But League has actually been helping me a lot, because the cool thing about a ranked competitive game of any kind is that it allows you to feel a sense of agency, doing something that is at least somewhat meaningful. I think that, like, it is stressful, but it isn't like stressful in the way that, say, it isn't stressful in the way that talking about the internal politics of Black Lives Matter is stressful, right? Where, like, the problem with politics talk is that, like, obviously there's the stress of constantly being as responsible as you can in your rhetoric, and that's obvious and true, but that kind of comes with the territory, right? But there's the added pressure of someone needs to talk about this stuff and there needs to be discourse on it, but me having the wrong take on something and being convincing in my rhetoric, or having good arguments to support the wrong opinion, can have extremely detrimental side effects socially, right? If enough of me exist to make the wrong opinion backed up by good arguments, can cause a lot of very serious harm. So yeah, ranked League of Legends is stressful, but not in the way that arguing about real material social issues is stressful, where the stakes of the argument that you're having, like, you can believe that you're right and argue for something and get enough people to agree with you, and if there's a single thing you haven't thought through that defeats your argument, then the implications of that discussion can have serious harm for everyone involved, right? For society overarching, right? That's a much deeper stress than a game of ranked League of Legends. So one thing that's really cool about ranked League is it's also a place for me to validate and exercise the emotional self-work that I have done over the past 2 years. 7 years really, but the past 2 years have been particularly concentrated on learning emotional regulation, on being able to communicate with people, on being able to de-escalate situations. League of Legends is an amalgamation of all of the most abusive energies that humans can have. So it's a good place where I can validate and demonstrate to myself that I'm not a prisoner of those toxicities. Which is really, really, really cool. And also, it just feels good to get better at a video game. And ranked League kind of forces you to take the game seriously. And my gamer rage is a lot less intense, for sure. Right? Why? I just want to get last hits. My mental attitude is a lot better, a lot more positive. Oh, come on. My mental attitude is a lot better, a lot more positive. I've been trying to do this thing where I never, ever, ever mute teammates unless it's just like I just want to focus. Because I want to learn to see those messages and just ignore them and just be like, it doesn't matter. This person doesn't matter. And ultimately, like, the reason that they're being so toxic is that they are in a level of pain that I can totally relate to, but they have not learned how to deal with it in as healthy a manner as I have. And I think that's another level of maturity that I'm trying to develop, right? It's funny because, like, the community can be really, really toxic. And the insults, one thing I've noticed is the insults in even in like things like ARAM and blind pick. So I was playing a game of blind pick. It was totally unranked, and I was practicing my Tristana. I went top against like an Irelia. I went like 7-3, 7-2, or maybe it was 7-4. I got ganked a couple times. But either way, I won my lane. Right? I was like 2-0 or 3-1 when mid game started, and then we started losing fights, and I just started losing. Right? So I won top. We didn't start losing till mid game. Their Yasuo was like mad fed, was like crazy fed. And he just started kicking everyone's butt. Now, at that point, he started talking mad chat, Like every single kill, he was like, "You mad? You mad, dog? Haha, easy, easy." So he kills me, and he's like, "You mad?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. It's unranked. Who cares? It's literally unranked, and nothing matters in this game." And you know, like, I practiced Tristana. I wanted to practice farming under turret, and I got to do it. I wanted to practice all-inning solo. I got to do it. Like, I all-inned and beat a bruiser, so that's gonna prep me for bot lanes, right? Like, that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, imagine taking unranked. That's what I said. Imagine taking unranked this seriously, and then Yasuo comes back with, imagine being so bad that you lose unranked games. And like, I'm just like, you do understand that 50% of players lose their unranked games, right? Like, unranked games happen. 5 people win, 5 people lose. Like, the overall win-loss rate for unranked games is 50%. So, like, statistically, most people are going to lose unranked games, including yourself, I'm sure. If you were truly that much of a god that you never lose a game, then you'd probably be playing ranked right now. But no, this guy was just like, he said it like 3 or 4 times. Imagine being so bad that you lose unranked games. And I think at the end of the game, I was like, imagine being so scared of playing ranked that you have to go into blind pick in order to talk shit. And he went completely silent for the last like 2 minutes of the game. And I realized that I had actually hit exactly what he was scared of. Like, this kid had probably either gotten like banned from ranked or like chat muted or something, or just had quit ranked because he just kept getting his butt kicked, and he wanted to go into blind pick, dominate a lane at like, you know, probably who knows, like maybe like a silver 2 Yasuo, and by the time you're in silver, you're like better than 99.9% of people who play blind pick. So he wanted to do that so that he wanted to go into blind pick, dominate his lane, and then talk mad chat. And I realized something, that like, I think Destiny has a take on insults and like online insults and online trash talk that, you know, I thought that he was reading a little much into it at first, but like, the more I actually interact with other people, especially like trash talkers on the internet, the more I start to kind of see his point. He said something about how anytime someone wants to insult him, like anytime someone insults him, they tend to like be massively projecting, right? Like, there are times that he has been accused of, say, child abuse by someone who has later on was found out to be like extremely creepy and hitting on like, say, you know, hitting on like underage girls, right? Which like, the irony of that, right? Like where people will choose their insults for you based on what it is they don't want to hear about themselves. And I've noticed that, and I was like, oh, well, surely that's not everyone. And I think it actually is. It's really interesting. Like, and I think that's actually a really great way to gauge someone's level of self-awareness is, well, ideally, like, you wouldn't be in the situation to begin with, but like in the event that you are in an insult war with someone, the kind of insults that they pick out for you are actually a really interesting like lens into how aware of themselves they are and how aware of their environments and observant they are, right? So when this Yasuo comes at me saying like, imagine being so bad that you lose unranked games, like, I've very clearly shown him that I don't care about losing unranked games, but he's continuing to try and hit me on that. And it's really sad because it kind of shows that he's not going after me based on what he thinks will hurt me. He's going after me based on what he knows will hurt him. So not only has he failed to like hit me or cut me at all deep, he's actually given me ammunition by kind of showing me his own hand of like, this is what hurts me, and I'm going to show you by trying to use it against you, right? So like at that point, like where you've shown that level of malice, I really don't mind like totally unloading on you, right? But I'm gonna unload on you on the way that hurts, right? Well, I'm sorry. Let me put that differently. Actually, if someone's not actually causing you harm, I don't think it's okay to maliciously go after them in a way that is intentionally designed to hurt them and cause as much harm to them as possible. I think that you're not responsible to avoid doing that if you are being actively harmed and you're just trying to protect yourself. I think that like self-defense bullying is completely okay. But if you're not at risk of like severe personal emotional harm, obviously you should be fairly responsible and not just go out of your way to hurt someone just because they've shown a disregard for your feelings. That said, if someone is showing a clear willingness to maliciously and hurtfully go after people, that like you're totally within your rights and it is completely okay for you to go at them in a way that might get them to think twice about engaging in trash talk like online, right? So that's the main thing, right? Like so like if let's say this Yasuo like starts talking mad chat, and then we're not at the end of the game, but we're in the middle of the game. And in the middle of the game, I drop that line of like, imagine being so scared of playing ranked and getting your ass kicked that you have to go into unranked in order to play well enough to talk trash. Clearly I hit him, right? I hit him and I hurt him because he didn't say anything for the last 2 minutes of the game, which was unusual because he had something to say for the entirety of that game, with the exception of the last 2 minutes. Let's say I say that in the middle of the game and I hit him and he goes silent for the rest of the game. I'm not going to continue going at him. There's no value in me doing it. I'm not trying to hurt him. I'm trying to get him to stop because I don't want him going after somebody else who might be vulnerable to his trash talk, right? And it's funny to put it this way, but like I think that your ability to insult someone effectively is ironically a function of your empathy and a function of your self-awareness, right? So like in order to understand what someone is sensitive about, you have to pick up on their social cues and analyze their behavior and inductively figure out like, oh, this is the thing that like, this is clearly the thing that I can hurt them on. And 99% of the time with people in friendly interactions, that informs me making sure that I don't actually hit them on the thing they're most sensitive about going forward. In League of Legends, usually it's the opposite, because usually this is a person who is being extremely toxic, being extremely hostile, and flaming their teammates constantly, and the thing that you just want is to get them to stop. And the best way to get them to stop is to show them that you have ammunition that will hurt them if they continue, right? It's a deterrent. But the inability of people to figure that out, especially the people who really want to insult you, it kind of shows that like a lack of empathy that leads to malice also leads to the same lack of empathy that causes people not to be able to insult you. Because like this guy kept going in on my League of Legends skills, and I won my lane. So like I was the highest performing member on my team, so you can't even hit me there. But more importantly, like I just don't care about the outcome of an unranked game. I'm there to practice, right? So insulting me on my skills is just not going to work. It can be annoying and obnoxious, and when I'm frustrated, it can be really annoying as well. So if I was more frustrated in the game, I might have gone a little more nuclear on him. But even so, like, to continue going after a person for their skills when they've shown they don't care about them, it says more about you, because the fact that you're willing to constantly you're going after someone for an aspect of their personality that they've clearly shown they're not insecure about, then there's a reason that you're going after that trait. It's not because of the cues that you're picking up on, right? So you're giving away information about yourself. The fact that you would jump to this aspect of a person's personality despite no reason that they've demonstrated that you should, it shows that that's actually an insecurity of yours. I don't know. That was really interesting. It was really interesting to see, and it's one of the cool things about League of Legends is it gives me a chance to, especially during COVID when I'm super socially isolated, it gives me a chance to validate and kind of give myself credit for the mental fortitude that I have developed over the past 2 years, right? Which in other situations I might not be able to. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content, the best way you can support the channel is to click that like button and subscribe for future videos. I will be putting out videos on the weekly as part of my new schedule, but we're still going to be talking about all sorts of interesting topics like healthcare, the global far right, the election, Biden, preferably not so much Trump, but we'll see what happens over the next 10 weeks. Definitely priorities will pop up. And if you want to join the discussion live, I stream live to Twitch at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're back to that regular schedule, it seems. So you can come join the discussion there, or stay tuned for future videos out on the weekly. 1 to 3 videos a week typically, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching.